Greetings, everybody. My name is Dr. Brown, and I am the instructor for CST 158 Server Plus. This is going to be a explanation of LAB2, where we go over the Windows Server 2019 installation. So a couple things that you have to have done already from LAB1. You need to have VMware installed and your shells created. I'm going to create my shells here real quick, and then I'm going to go and grab the ISO from Microsoft and we'll do the installs. So as you go through the document, it gives you an explanation of how your network topology is supposed to be. Pay particular attention to the subnet 192.168.1.0/24. So we need to fix up our network editor first. So how you do that is you can do it one of two ways. You can do a search here in Windows if you're running a Windows machine for network editor. Alright, virtual network editor. Or you can also do this from VMware, from File, Edit, Virtual Network Editor, which I'll just bounce into it from there. Once you're in the Virtual Network Editor, we're going to be using the NAT network. If you have other host networks, if you don't have as many host networks as me, that's okay. Just ignore it. We're just going to concentrate on the NAT network. We're going to click the Change Settings. You're going to get a little pop-up box there that wants you to allow administrative access. Please say yes. It'll pop up again. Select VMnet 8, the NAT network. And then down here where it says subnet IP, you want to make sure that that says 192.168.1.0 with a subnet mask at 255.255.255.0. On the DHCP settings, you want to ensure that it is below 200, which here I have mine 129 to 199. That's plenty of space for you to do this course. So just as long as it's not above 200. Okay. And then you can just click OK, apply. I don't have to because mine's already done. And let's create your shell. So the next thing that we have to do is, again, from Lab 1, we should have had the VM shell done. There's some adjustments that we may have to do in here if we want to clone a server or clone our second server. But I'm just going to go through the straight install. You can do this for both servers. It's a little more time consuming than if you did the clone. But I'm going to do one server and then I'm going to try to do the cloning. So I have the steps through here of how to do the VMware shell. I'm going to go through that here real fast. It's pretty easy. We're just going to do File, New Virtual Machine. I know I have a tendency to go through fast, but this is recorded. You can go back and forth. It will be custom. Next. Workstation 16 or the latest one that you have. If you're running 15 or 14, it's perfectly fine. Just the latest version. You're going to install the operating system later. It's Microsoft. There's not a 2019 Windows Server 2019 in here in version 16. So just select the latest version. So I can select 2016. If you can only select 2012, select 2012. It'll work just fine. So 2016 for me. And name it. So I'm going to name this one. This is going to be the static one. Actually, I'm going to do the DHCP first. DHCP. So I'll come back and do the static server second. Say that 5 times really fast. So I can do the clone. So it'll be next. I'm going to change this firmware type from Uefi to BIOS. This causes a lot of problems in Windows installations. So change that to BIOS. I'm going to give it 1 processor and 2 cores. You are hopefully running a multi-core processor. Most all of modern ones are. So 1 core, 2 processors. And 2 gigs of memory is just fine. I'm going to up mine to 4 because I can. I'm running 32 gigs of memory on this machine. I have plenty of memory. but you need to understand, if you're only running a 4 gig box, if you only have 4 gigs on your laptop or desktop, only run 1 gig of memory here. So this is very important because you can really tax your system and break stuff if you're not careful. So know your system. That's the point of this exercise. One of the points of this exercise. We're going to do NAT. LSI logic is fine for the I/O controller type. I'm going to change this from NVMe to SATA, because I find that it runs a little bit better. But you can keep it if you want to, but I changed mine to SATA. I'm going to create a new virtual disk. My virtual disk, I can make it 60 gigs. I don't have to make it 60 gigs. It will only use up what it uses. So I'm going to keep that default. If you again, need to know your system. If you don't have 60 gigs, you can run this all the way down to about 20 gigs and it will work just fine. I'm going to split it into multiple files. So I'm going to keep it default, but know how much available space you have on your disk. And it should be a local disk too. I'm going to keep the disk file name the same so there's no confusion, and I'm going to click Finish. And over here in the inventory, you're going to see that I have Windows Server 2019 Dhcp show up. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the I'm going to get the ISO. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just type in download there, Windows 2019 ISO. Okay, download Windows 2019 ISO. It's the second link. Try Windows Server 2019 on Microsoft from their evaluation center. I'll click on that. Hopefully it's up and running. Uh-oh. There we go. It finally came up. So you'll see the Windows Server 2019. You have a 180-day evaluation. That's more than enough time for this this class. I'm going to select ISO and continue. Now you'll see a couple other servers. You might have admin server, server 2022. I'm not using that one yet. I'm sticking with 2019. You might see 2019 Essentials and Hyper-V. I'm just going with the standard server 2019. Okay, nothing fancy. I'll click continue. You have to put all your information in here. Okay, a lot of this can be bogus. The email address, you can use your student address. You can use a public email address, a Gmail address, Yahoo address, doesn't matter. If you use your student address, that's perfectly fine. So you can use Coastline College. The company size is going to be, say above 1,000. A job title, just put in researcher, academic student. Okay. You don't have to. You can provide a bogus number. You can provide the phone number of the college if you want to. That's perfectly fine. And country, region, USA. And then click continue on that. That will then give you the download to the ISO. I have placed the ISO into from my downloads folder. I moved it to my virtual machines folder. So on Windows, it's Documents, Virtual Machines. There it is right there. Okay. And then once I have it in my Virtual Machines folder, I'm going to go back to VMware. I'm going to go to CD DVD. And I'm going to point to it. So usually it's going to be here, physical drive. You're going to select this radio button, use ISO image. You're going to browse to where that image is. So it was Documents, Virtual Machines for me, and then where that ISO file is. So there's my Windows ISO file. Click Open. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do this install. So after that is all set up and you have your CD, DVD pointed to that ISO file, you just have to click power on. And we'll go through the install. The install goes really super fast. So don't blink here. Especially if you gave it a lot of RAM, that it can quickly do the install. Okay. Oops, you know what? I goofed that up. It doesn't go that fast, folks. Sorry about that. Let me just shut down guest. I turned on the wrong virtual machine. Turn on the virtual machine shell that you made. Excuse me. Let's get that CD DVD correct again. I goofed that up and pointed to the wrong file. So, documents, virtual machines, Windows 2019. There we go. Now we're all set. All right, click OK. So CD DVD uses that ISO file. Now we'll turn it on, because this VM shell has no no operating system on it, so it should come up like this. If you get this thing on installation, just go ahead and click the X here. All right, so from the setup screen, we're just going to click next. And we're going to click install now. So I'm going to pause several times throughout this so it doesn't, I'm just not sitting here. So if you get a product key for activation of Windows, all right, you can click I don't have a product key. You can click I don't have a product key, and then you can do Windows Server Standard with Desktop Experience. If you do this as standard, it will go to command line only. You don't want that. You want Desktop Experience. Click Next. This is a 180-day evaluation, so you have 180 days, so you can just skip over that licensing piece. Accept the license terms. All right. This is not an upgrade. This is a custom install. And that's that hard drive we made with VMware. So just click Next. And it will set up. So I'm going to pause here, wait for this to finish. It'll go through and give you green check marks across the way. Okay, so once it finishes, it will reboot. Get everything ready and starting and come up. For the next few items you'll have to do is you'll have to set a password for the administrator, and you'll pretty much be just about done from there. Ever get rebooted here. Here we go. So administrator, you can't change that setting, the username. From the lab, I think I have you make the password. Let me find it here. We did through all that. There it is. CST CCC 2019 exclamation point. So that is your password. Okay, so let's make that the password. Capital C, capital S, capital T. And let's do that twice. All right, and click Finish. I'll finalize the setup, and you're right there. So to log in, hit Control Alt and Insert key, not Control Alt Delete, because that'll, Control Alt Delete your home system, but Control Alt Insert and then type in that password. There we go. Simple as that. Then once you have that booted up, take a screenshot of your server manager, which will pop up here. It'll detect the network. Just say yes. When server manager pops up, you'll see that you have internet connectivity, which is good. And exit out. Just get a screenshot here of your server manager with the date and time. So you can do that by snipping tool. All right. And it'll pop up on the other screen for me. And just get a copy of that, with your VMs up there, and just copy that and paste that into your lab document. And that's the first one. The second server, we can shut this down, because to do a clone we have to have it shut down, so we're just going to shut it down. And if we go back up here to get the second server completed, the static IP server, you can go through the same process again and do the static server. That's perfectly fine. Or you can clone your server. So with your created Windows Server 2019 virtual machine, you can do the following. Right-click on the shell, then manage, then clone. I'm going to move this over here so I can read through this at the same time I'm doing this. So we're shut down. So we can right-click on the shell, go to manage, and then clone. All right, and then we can go through the process of cloning the server. We'll click next. All right, the current state of the machine, which is shut down. This is why you want to have it shut down, which is perfectly fine. So we're going to click next. We're going to click create a full clone. Next. The virtual machine name, we're going to change that from Dhcp to static. I'm going to click finish. And then it's going to clone. And it'll be done like that. He's going to put it all into a new file and everything. Then we'll just go into that system and we'll fix the IP address. It'll be really fast, really quick, really simple. Okay, so it's done. And now we see that, I know I have a lot of stuff up here. Sorry. So we see that it has clone of server, static. So I can rename this. Or you can keep it with that as well. And go to settings. There we go. So I can just take that clone of out, which is perfectly fine. There we go. Okay, it's just a naming thing here for the tab. I can then boot into this. Again, I'm booting into my new one, the clone that I made. And the only thing I'm going to change here, it still has the same Control insert. It still has the same password, capital CST, CCC 2019 exclamation point. And what I'm going to do, it's on DHCP. If I come over here and, oops, wrong one, to the network, go to network internet settings, and Ethernet. Then I'm going to change adapter options. Right click on the adapter and go to properties. Click on TCP IPv4 and properties. And now I'm going to change this. If you go to your lab document at the top, it gave you the IP information for the static Windows Server 2019 IP. All right, and then this is the static one here. So 192.168.1.200. So 192.168.1. 192.168.1.200 subnet mask. Yep, 255.255.255.0. The gateway, you can look this up in your network editor, or you can go to the DHCP server and do an IP config /all, but it should be 192.168.1.2. If it's not 2, try 1.1, and give it a DNS server of 8.8.8.8 and 4.2.2.2. These are public DNS servers, so it'll work just fine. Click OK, click close, close everything. Should maintain internet access, all right? And you can just do a command prompt and run a test here. We can just do ipconfig /all. All right, we see our IP has changed. And we can just ping like google.com and it works. That's it. So for this one, you can give me a screenshot of the server manager. You can give me a screenshot of the IP address. Either one is fine. Again, go back to snipping tool, and take and put this one into your lab document. So I just want to make sure that you get both Windows servers up and running, and that's it, guys. So look, I got this done in less than about a half an hour. So if you're having problems with the installs for Windows, hopefully this video will help you. And then we'll go on to next week, and we'll do the Fedora server. Okay? All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great rest of your day.